Hey guys, Dean here from Ray White Earlwood, and today we're here to talk about auctions and today's market. I'm with Alex Pattaro, Chief Auctioneer of the Ray White Group and also a very good friend of mine. So Al, how are you seeing Saturday auctions? Obviously you're doing many every Saturday, every weekend, even during the week, with your midweek auctions and still online auctions. So what's your overall picture of things at the moment?
Look, the marketplace, and particularly in the auction side of things, the market's performing much better than what some of the media is putting out into the marketplace. We're still seeing relatively strong clearance rates. Yes, they are slightly down year on year, but let's not forget last year was absolutely wild. And we are still seeing competitive bidding across our auctions.
It's funny you mentioned that. So the media side of things, is it fair to say this is what we've experienced anyway, that they're kind of 3 months behind today's market and what we're actually experiencing today? Because our numbers over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks more importantly, and more specifically I should say, have been great. Open home numbers are up, activity is up, conversations we're having with our buyers and our local marketplace seems to be tracking quite well. Is that something that you've experienced?
100%. It's funny you say that because the data over the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks in particular, has been the best data that we've seen probably in about 4 to 5 months. We are seeing an increase of registered bidders. We are seeing an increase in our active bidder number. So that's not just buyers that are registering to bid, that's buyers that are actually raising their paddles on auction day.
Active bidding on the day of auction.
And we're getting about 88% of active bidding across our conducted auctions. So it's a pretty healthy number if you consider what the media is putting out there. Our data is showing some really positive signs of the market.
And is that something that you guys have seen only in the last couple of weeks, couple of months? When did that data start to or that activity start to increase? The
data has shown some kind of stabilisation over the last 4 weeks, but particularly the last 2 to 3. The data is showing that there is activity at auctions in the number of registered bidders as well as the number of active bidders, but also our 6-week auction clearance rate. Now, this metric Ray White likes to call our all sold clearance rate, and this clearance rate factors in properties that sold prior to auction, at auction, and 2 weeks after auction. And over the past 90 days, that sits at about 70%.
Which is quite healthy.
Very healthy, particularly when everyone's saying the market is falling out of the sky. Very strong. 7 in every 10 properties are selling within 6 weeks.
So that's something you guys analyse by prior to auction sales, at auction, and post-auction sales?
100%.
Okay. Quite interesting because it shows that the market is either stabilising, it's a healthy market, it's a normal market.
It's a normal market. We forget that we've had such a good market over the past 2 to 3 years. The clearance rate for Sydney just last week was 65%. Extremely strong. That's 15 to maybe 20% down from what was the most ridiculous marketplace we've ever seen.
No doubt, 2021 was the best marketplace I've worked in, and
it didn't take much to sell real estate, Dean, did it?
Yeah, no, not at all, not at all. Now we're back to the traditional grind. No doubt our workload has tripled, but nothing has really changed for us. The amount of work that went into selling property last year is exactly what we're putting into our campaigns this year. If anything, it's either doubled or tripled to get the similar results. So a question often asked in our listing presentations is, of course, why auction as opposed to private treaty, or why private treaty as opposed to auctions? We prefer the auction method. It's a way for us to build competition. Competition wins gold at the Olympics, and it also sells real estate for good prices. So what obviously being the Chief Auctioneer for the Ray White Group, why auction?
There's 2 ways you can look at the auction process. One is through understanding of what auction is all about, and 2, looking at it through the data. Now, speaking of the data first, all of our auction data suggests that auction is the best and should be the preferred method of sale. Why? The clearance rate is first and foremost. Our auction clearance rate at day 45 is 20% better than private treaty. And also our days on market, we know that the auction process is selling properties up to 10 days quicker than what private treaty is selling. Now, why is this important in a marketplace that is changing so quickly? Is most agents and sellers at the moment are battling with interest rates. And if interest rates continue to move north, which they're predicted to do so, your time and sellers' time on the market is very, very important.
Very crucial.
Because if sellers aren't selling in a quicker time frame, it could actually be costing them money. And we have seen the market gradually move back over the past 6 months. So the longer you're on the market, the more it's costing sellers.
Absolutely. Well, with us as an office based here in Earlwood, Earlwood's always been an auction market ever since I can remember as a young boy, going to auctions that my father's been conducting. And setting that date, the auction date,
Yes.
I think creates urgency.
In this market, you need that as well, Dean.
We are finding that there's more buyers through our open homes,
Yes.
Especially the first and second week. With an auction campaign
Yes.
as opposed to private treaty, there seems to be more urgency, whereas private treaty there seems to be a lack of urgency.
Yes.
Buyers seem to think that they have more time to go around, have a look at other homes. In saying that, if you're on the market for sale as opposed to running to auction, I think what we've experienced is that those buyers that should be going through your property would normally go through the property that's running to auction because they've set a date, they've created that urgency.
It's a call to action.
Absolutely, absolutely. And they've taken your buyer away from you because they've set that urgency.
And also one word that I think really resonates with the word auction is energy.
Yeah.
Energy is ultimately what creates an exceptional auction. This is a marketplace that requires energy. Buyers are fearful in overpaying. They want to see other buyers participate because it makes them feel like they are buying a good piece of real estate. And that auction not only creates that urgency, but it also creates that emotional element, which then creates some fear of missing out, which this is a marketplace that there's not a whole lack of any, there's not a whole lot anymore in FOMO, fear of missing out, which then ultimately gets the best price. And the best thing about Ray White is we do conduct 1 in 5 auctions across not only
Is that on a national level?
That's New South Wales and across the entirety of Australia. 1 in 5 auctions across Australia and in New South Wales are conducted by Ray White. So not only the data is quite comprehensive, but the 120-year Ray White auction history would suggest that Ray White certainly know how to follow the best auction process within the industry.
I believe we're part of the best brand in Australia. It's in my blood. I've grown up in the network. As a young boy growing up in one of the best brands and one of the best networks in Australia, I can tell you that the energy surrounding auctions, even witnessed as a young boy, is just something that's still around today. So guys, if there's anything we can do to be of assistance in regards to your real estate needs, if you're simply curious to know what your property is worth, or if you are thinking of selling, please reach out. We'd be more than happy to assist. And Alex is our preferred auctioneer, Chief Auctioneer of the Ray White Group, and it's been a pleasure to have him with us here today. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Dean. It's been a pleasure as well. Thank you.